The following episode was recorded in front of a live streaming audience on Saturday, May the 3rd, 2025.
You know who you are? Steeven is my name. Even Steeven.
Will you say something, Steeven?
Steeven or Else Media.
You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 86, the Dukalia Spy Ring. Hello and welcome to the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steeven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore.
Sup, dogs and dogettes and dogs of not either of those two genders and dogs of no gender and dogs. You folks know what I mean.
Sup to everybody.
All y'all, as we say here.
You know, we spent a lot of time before we started recording this episode during the live stream, and even before we started streaming live, we have spent the last probably 20, 30 minutes just talking. So I don't know that I necessarily have anything for the banter segment. Let me think for a second.
Well, I'll go ahead and throw out here kind of what we talked about. First, happy Free Comic Book Day to everyone listening. When you do get around to listening to this, it will be in the past, but we are recording this on Free Comic Book Day. And cool, in my mind, is that this year, tomorrow, is Star Wars Day.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Happy early Star Wars Day or belated Star Wars Day when you're listening to this, however that timey-wimey stuff goes. So.
The episode should release on June 30th.
So it'll be well past both.
Yes. But yeah.
It'll even be a new season, won't it? June 20. Yeah. It'll be actually summer because we're still in spring.
Yep. Yeah, we're in lawn mowing weather, which automatically makes me grumpy. There's this cycle that I've been going through for the past 10 years as winter turns into spring in this area of the country, where the grass is just dead and yellowed, and it's not just it's grass after a winter freeze, and then one day it rains, and then the next day it rains, and then you get a day or two where it doesn't rain, but it's still wet and soggy, and then it rains again, and before you know it, the grass is like 3 inches high, because you haven't been able to touch it because it's either been wet or raining. And once it's dry enough, then, it takes forever to get, my lawn's not big, but the grass gets so high that first time that I have to mow it in segments. I got an electric mower. My battery lasts about a half an hour. It takes 4 to 6 hours to charge. For like, so it's like I go out there after work, I'll mow. It takes me twice as long when it's that long to mow. So I get half of what I would normally get done in that 30 to 45 minutes. And then it's like I plug the thing in and it's like, that's all I can do today. And then
wait until tomorrow.
Yeah. And so by the time I get all the way around the house, it's time to do the front again. It's just.
Oh, man.
And it's, I know that there's a crew around here that mows lawns. It's not that expensive, but I don't know. I can't justify spending money to mow a lawn that I can do myself just because I don't like doing it.
Well, but perhaps you can free yourself up to do other things, and that would be your justification.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, my, I think the last time we recorded, I talked about, we talked a bit about Hither Came Conan. When Steven's going to put out some new Hither Came Conan?
Yes, that was me.
Yes. Yeah. You reach through the screen, you grab me by the scruff of my neck, the front part of my shirt. Where's Hither Came Conan? And what I had said last time was I've read 6 issues. I'm ready to start recording. I've got the notes for the next episode ready to go. And then I said a lot of crap. Like I always say, I want to get 6 of them done first before I start releasing them. But my life, there have been a couple of changes that the time of day that I typically record when it's just me recording myself, that time is no longer available to me. And I'm finding it hard to find time to record at this point. And hopefully I get back to having more time. And so that's honestly, that's the big hold right now is that.
So you're making excuses for having not done it, basically, is what you're saying. Okay.
But I did make a decision.
Okay. Well, that's part.
I'm going to, I'm not going to wait until I'm just going to record and release the fucking episode, right? I don't want to wait until, because if I wait until I have all 6 of them done, they're never going to fucking get done. So, yeah.
It doesn't mean you still can't consider those 6 a season and do another topic.
Right.
Or what, it doesn't affect that. So it's like, well, might as well. And I'll go ahead and say, without giving too much away, no spoilers, but a little red feathered birdie told me that a new show perhaps is seriously in the works, recording its first episode this week, it seems.
On Thursday.
So
and there's
coming up.
Let me look at the calendar real quick. So, second season of the comic book show, there's a good chance that if at least one, well, I guarantee one of the episodes, if not most of them, will be out by the time this episode here hits on June 30th. Because, so if we record Thursday the 8th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we'd have all 5 episodes recorded if we can do it each week. By June 5th would be the final recording date. So
that's well in advance.
Yeah, it's the second season of the comic book show. Finally, I'm going to be recording with Chris Parton, your partner from the Boom Addiction days.
Yes,
and I had originally planned on doing Proof myself, just like I did season 1 with the Man of Steel, and I actually recorded the first episode. But just like with everything else, I got to get all 5 episodes done, and I just kept putting it off, and then one day I was just like, you know what? I'm never going to do this if I do it by myself.
There you go.
So yeah, I enlisted Chris Parton, and hopefully the plan will be that when we'll do the first 5 issues of Proof from Image Comics. That's the first story arc, Goat Sucker, which is going to be a show on Fox at some point. It feels like they announced that over a year ago. And, and then, so that'll be season 2. And then season 3, hopefully will be the first, 5 issues of ElfQuest, the original Quest. And I'll be doing that again with Chris Parton and a guy who's 1,000 miles to my right. Mr. Ed Moore. So that's some stuff to look forward to.
Spoilers aplenty, yes.
Yeah. And there's at least, by the time this episode comes out, there's at least 3 episodes of Steeven or Else out there. 4th one's almost done. Okay. One small segment left to go. But again,
so to not have time to record, you're a busy guy.
Yep. It's I got a long way to go and a short time to get there.
Are you eastbound?
I'm eastbound.
Just watch Old Bandit run.
Watch Old Bandit run. I need to watch that again.
They don't make movies like that anymore.
No.
All right, guys. That's not bad for not having any banter. That was.
Yeah. I felt like I had something else to say. And then my mind was like, hey, don't forget to, never mind. It went,
okay.
Don't forget to tell him, ooh, what's that? Is that a squirrel?
Rabbit. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was a lot of banter for having no banter.
Well, that was not bad.
I mean, you and I have been sitting here talking for 45 minutes, and we've yet to really get to the subject of Superman. So,
right,
you want to go ahead and do that?
Yeah, we might as well. I mean, if somebody is there in the chat room, they're probably waiting for that. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm not a marketing genius, but there's part of me that feels like if you're going to do a show called the Superman Super Show, people are going to expect you to talk about Superman. I mean, people's expectations, take them or leave them.
I think that's a fair assessment, though. I would, I would go with that. Yeah, probably.
We can't let the listeners control our show, but I think it's okay for them to expect us to talk about Superman.
It's fair. It's fair. Yes.
So today we're going to be looking at the Dukalia Spy Ring. This is the fourth story that appears in Superman number 10. According to Mike's Amazing World of Comics, it was written by Jerry Siegel and the art was by Wayne Boring. Superman number 10 is a cover date of May/June 1941. But according to Mike's Amazing World of Comics, it has an approximate, it probably went on sale March 5th, 1941. And here's what happened in the story. At a sports festival featuring athletes from the country of Dukalia, Lois and Clark spot a discharged Navy officer, Captain Lang. After they leave, Superman returns to show up the Dukalian team. Lois suspects Lang of working with the Dukalians and breaks into his room. She is captured and brought into the harbor where an experimental vessel is docked. Superman follows them and allows himself to be captured in his Clark Kent guise. The vessel is a submarine that Lang is selling to the Dukalians and Carl Wolf, though I assume it's pronounced Wolf.
With a V, Wolf.
Yeah. Lang, however, is not a traitor. He was trying to capture the spies, but he was uncovered. The spies launch Clark out a torpedo tube, but he returns with Superman, defeating the foreign agents and recovering this vessel. Ed, what'd you think about this one?
I think we are back to the dang, a lot of stuff happened in that story kind of story.
Yeah. Let's pull back the curtain a slight bit here. Everybody, of course, knows that we record these episodes way in advance. The episode that landed before this one, episode number 85, we had recorded before we switched to this whole 6 episodes Golden Age, 6 episodes post-crisis. So episode 85 has been sitting out there recorded since December. December is when we recorded that.
Really? So, wow, I didn't realize that.
So for us, for you and me, this is the first time reading and talking about a Golden Age Superman story since December.
Mm-hmm.
For the listeners, of course, they just heard us talk about that a couple of weeks ago. But for us, it's like we're back. And I agree. This story is like, it's okay. Remember the first time we came back because we had stopped recording the show for a year or something like that. We come back and the first episode, the first Golden Age story, we're both like, this is a great way to get back into the Golden Age of comics. Exactly the same thing here.
Yeah.
It's just, couldn't have been a more perfect story because it's fun.
And actually, I have to admit, there are some things that Superman does that I don't really think I agree with. I don't think they were cool.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah. There's a moment in this where, it's like, we'll get to it. Do you mind if I read that first box there on page 1?
Yeah, the narration box.
The teaser.
The radio voice before the episode starts kind of thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Foes of all interests and activities subversive to this country's best interest, Superman loses no time in going into action when he encounters a menace to American democracy. Super strength clashes with evil super cunning in an other thrilling, dramatic adventure of today's foremost hero, the daring, dynamic man of tomorrow, Superman. And our teaser image is what?
Supes is hurdling. He's running, jumping over a hurdle in a stadium. We see a group of people on the other side of the field. On this side of the field, we see one individual highlighted, but you don't see a face, so you don't know who he is. But he's important because he's there by himself, whereas there's a crowd of people across the way. Superman is running. He's jumping over a hurdle, carrying some dude, we know now, having read it, it's an athlete, under his arm as he's hurdling. So it's like he's hurdling with the athlete to show how strong he is. Just for the image, it's like, why would Superman be doing that? What's he doing?
it makes complete sense once you've read the story. But just reading that box and looking at the image, you're like, what does one have to do with the other? What the hell is going on here?
I don't get it. Yeah.
Maybe in 1941. I don't know. I think people still would have been confused.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So, take us through the story, and then, of course, like always, we'll interrupt each other with stuff that we noticed.
All right, so we are told, and you can kind of tell, but the narrator tells us, editorial office of the Daily Planet. And we have Clark, we have Lois, and we have Chief, who we have made it a point in the past we now see.
Yeah.
Chief, we are looking over the shoulders, in essence, of Clark and Lois at Chief, whereas it used to be the other way around. So
I feel like if we were talking about current books that were coming out the week that we're talking about them, that I feel like God, how do I say this? Like DC editorial was listening to us. Talk about how we never see this scene. We never see Perry White straight on, face first, looking at the camera, and then we don't even see Clark's face. We see part of his glasses, and then we see Lois in profile. But yeah, if this feels like one of those moments where it's like a podcast is talking about something that they feel this is weird, this should change, and then the creators were listening and decided to make the change. And yeah,
and in this case, it's the kind of change that we would have been talking about that would have been really easy to do if they'd heard us, because it's just a camera angle change. That's all. It's
exactly.
And now, of course, it would be very weird, but we really don't know, just looking at this first panel, that that's Clark Kent.
Right.
I don't think really there's enough to tell. Now, you can tell pretty much that this is Lois between the hair, and you've got a profile, but it's like, this may not be Clark. He could be handing this assignment off to Lois and Dude, and that's going to be an issue. But pretty quickly here in the story, we come to find out that it's Clark. She doesn't even say that it's Clark, so we don't know until they get on scene, having gotten the assignment, that it was actually Clark and Lois. But so Chief has our duo covering the Dukalia American Sports Festival at the Municipal Stadium there in town. Lois is not. Oh no, she is. She does like going to these things. Now, if you no, she's being sarcastic. Now, if you only send us to a ball game tomorrow, so she doesn't want to cover. I guess it's sports is what the she's alluding to. She doesn't want to cover sports.
Well, that's the thing. Is it sarcastic? We can't be 100% sure. Maybe she's really excited. She loves sports. She's a big sports head, and she wants to go see a ball game tomorrow.
I take it to be sarcasm. It's
funny how back then, of course, all through gold and silver, most of the Bronze Age, up through the modern age, the writers felt that they had to really spell out everything that was happening in a panel, right?
Yeah.
They either have the caption box tell you exactly what's happening, or the hero or villain has a thought bubble going on and they're thinking about exactly, I'm going to grab up this chair and throw it to that person and blah, blah, blah. And nowadays, they just trust that the reader understands what's going on in the panel.
Finally,
but at the same time,
it changed.
At the same time, I think nowadays, if they had a character like Lois doing a line like this that was meant to be sarcastic, there'd be something in there to point that out. And it would probably be one of the other characters going, "Oh, sarcasm, Lois, that's above you," or something like that,
Something, yeah.
But they couldn't do that here. They spend a lot of time with it telling you exactly what's going on in various panels that you can see for yourself. But the one time you're like, I'm pretty sure Lois is being sarcastic, but they don't tell us. So we just have to assume.
Yep.
Because that's not clear. That's what's funny about it.
Okay. So they go to the stadium. Well, here, now, see, she says, I don't like this, Clark. Dukalia is on unfriendly terms with us. And this looks more like an anti-American demonstration than anything else. We have a salute by a couple of the athletes that is reminiscent of a fascist salute from World War II. that anyone that has been alive since World War II is familiar with, I think. So, moving on. And I don't know, Steeven, I'll say this, and it could get me in trouble, and if it does, I'm sorry, but we may see something like this here before too long when a big military parade goes off in this country.
Yep.
I would not be surprised because there will have to be some kind of recognition that the people in attendance are there by those in the parade. I don't know what that recognition will be. I don't know what form it will take, but that is just standard of that type of situation is that you recognize. Now, in America, we have that symbol. It's a 45-degree hand to the forehead. That is that symbol.
Yep.
Perhaps that will be the same symbol. I'm curious to see if it is or not. And
when by the time this episode comes out, I think if that parade's happening, it will have already happened. Because isn't that supposed to be like June 7th or something?
Something like that. Yeah, it's in relation. What is Veterans Day?
It's his birthday or something, I think. Isn't it?
But isn't it the same day as Veterans Day?
No. Well, Veterans Day is November 11th. It's like Victory Day.
Oh, okay.
For World War I, maybe? Armistice? I don't know.
Yeah, Armistice Day. Yeah, it's the same. His birthday is the same day as some military remembrance here in the U.S. I forget what it is.
Throw up in my mouth.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. And it's interesting because, of course, there was no way of telling this ahead of time, but there are yucky parallels with a lot of the things we see in this story, or at least things that are alluded to, and things right now we see in real life. It's very unfortunate that there are connections of that nature to be made right now, but there are as we're recording this.
And I don't remember the full line or the context behind the full line, what it originally meant, but we hear people say those who do not study history are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
That's why we're seeing these similarities.
Yeah. And anyways, I've got to stop, or we'll keep going into this.
Well, the Superman Super Show political edition.
Yeah, really. Washington.
Says nothing. These episodes have nothing to do with Superman. We're just going to vent.
Yeah. 3 or 4 episodes in a row to get all out of our system.
Yeah.
So Lois and Clark are sitting down, and she's looking around at the people there, and she notices over here to the side is a Navy officer named Lang. Does she say Captain? Captain Lang is here watching, which actually he's discharged as far as she knows. So it's former Navy Captain Lang, which I don't quite understand, except for the story itself, why that would be suspicious.
So let me try to put this into a little perspective for the time. Of course, we both know we talk about this almost every time we talk about these Golden Age stories, is that World War II, of course, is going on at the time. America is not involved, though I think we have been sending like ships and supplies and whatnot.
We've been sending supplies of some sort. Yeah.
I went on to Wikipedia this morning just to kind of look at certain things around this time, because one of the things that this story made me think of, because just this initial opening part where they've come to this Dukalia American Sports Festival here in Metropolis, or it made me think of this book from Comixology. It was a Comixology original comic. When was that from? I don't see it. 2021. It's called We Only Kill Each Other. And it set during the time of World War II, and it opens with one of these big American Nazi festival rallies that happened in New York City. But it was set in 1938. And so I did a little bit more digging. You've heard of the German-American Bund. This is basically the American pro-Hitler, pro-Nazi organization. Looking at Wikipedia, I don't know when they were founded, but they held a rally in Madison Square Garden in February of 1939. And I'm sure that's where they're getting the inspiration for this story.
Fairly recently occurred for them. So it could be.
I mean, it's was 2 years previous, but you got to assume that there were other demonstrations and rallies across the country with these, the American nationalism, Nazi, this group. But that's exactly what it made me think of. So when you're looking at the story, I mean, we have it. The very first panel there when they've arrived, like you said, Lois says that she doesn't like it. Dukalia is on unfriendly terms, and she says that this looks more like an anti-American demonstration than anything else. And Clark tells her, not so loud, or we may get more than dirty looks. So I feel like for Lois and Clark and the people in Metropolis at this time, stuff like this have been happening at least for the last 2 years across the country. But instead of Nazis, it's Dukalia. I looked up something else real quick. So we know that eventually these Golden Age stories are going to be considered part of Earth 2.
Uh-huh.
And so Earth 2, I found this on dc.fandom.com, and Earth 2's version of the months leading up to World War II, the Axis powers included Baralia, Bulgonia, Dukalia, Luxor, Napkan, Napkan, which I'm assuming is their version of Japan. I don't know. Mastonia, Nural, Nural, Oxnalia. So these names are great. Saronia, Thoria, Torin, and Torpany. A lot of Ias, though.
Well, and I would suggest that those must be a lot of East European countries.
Yeah.
Is what they're doing with those, and then maybe some of those other names once you get down towards like the Mediterranean, Italy. Although Greece wasn't, but there was maybe that's what we've done is they're using countries in the Eastern Europe down towards the Mediterranean area there.
Yeah.
Also, what you were saying, keep in mind that just in 1936, we had the Olympics in Berlin, where the entire point was to show that the German athlete of a white color was far superior to any other athlete of a non-white color. So, As far as sports competitions, you also have that. What is the term for the Germans? Aryans. That the Aryan athletes were superior than any of the other, according to them, sub-races. So that could also be something that's affecting the writer as far as putting together this story. Not to mention, like you said, more recently, we've been having these gatherings and these festivals and these things like this, putting a finer point on what the message is that those people were attempting to get out at the time.
Yeah. And I'll say this real quick, and then I don't know if I'm going to have a lot more to say beyond that as we go through this. So it's like I'm getting all my shit out right up front. But one of the things that we've also mentioned a lot over the last number of episodes, talking about these Golden Age stories, especially when they're dealing with what appears to be the World War II, because of the time period. And we've talked a few times about why don't they just call them, why don't they just say it's Germany? Why don't they call them Nazis?
What they're alluding to.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it something that they are, that it's maybe it wasn't politically, I don't know, to call out a nation like that. But Captain America #1, I don't remember exactly when it was released because I didn't save. I had that page pulled up and I lost it. Captain America #1, I think, came out before this issue. It may have even been the previous year in 19, could have been 39 or 40.
41, I believe, is when Captain America #1 dropped, late in the year for some reason. Okay. I'll look real fast and see. I was just looking at Marvel stuff the other day like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Look that up because I thought I was looking at a timeline of events in America during the first half of 1941, specifically in regard to World War II. That's the search I used. And
this says March 1, 41.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, it was at the early part of the year.
Yeah, about the same time. Unless it's cover dated March, then it was released a couple months earlier than that. So
right. But still, I think 1941 is given the year.
Yeah.
You can argue, I guess, what month it was.
Yeah. So it's not that. So the idea that, because obviously Marvel was not afraid to not only have Nazis in their comic, they had Captain America punching Hitler right on the front cover.
It was but of course that's well known because Kirby hated Nazis. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
he made no bones about that.
Right.
And,
yeah. And then I started thinking about Andor and how I'm watching season 2, and a lot of Andor has a lot of comparisons to what was happening with the Nazis in World War II. So it's like, okay, so basically they're taking the idea of World War II and the Nazis, and they're using the Star Wars universe sci-fi as an analogy for what is in essence a World War II kind of tale.
The Superman Super Show will return after these messages.
Superman Radio Revisited. Hosted by Matthew T. Cody. This is going to be a new podcast which will be exploring the Superman radio show of the 1940s. It will begin by playing an episode. Unfiltered, unedited, uncensored, uncut. Followed by my commentary. We're going to talk about the era a little bit and any interesting things that crop up in the episodes. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I'm hoping to make it an interactive show. So come along. It's going to be a great time.
Are you tired of fanboy comics podcasts? Looking for a show that really appreciates the comic storytelling medium and how it works? A show that looks at comics from any genre and anywhere in the world, comparing the storytelling techniques of different creators in different comics cultures, with manga, newspaper strips, European comics, and more, discussed alongside mainstream US comics. A show that includes talks with well-known creators like James Robinson and Dan Jurgens, and with less famous creators that you really should know. And hey, we'll even critique your comic. If you're looking for that show, then you're looking for Deconstructing Comics, and it's right here at deconstructingcomics.com. Also available in iTunes and on Stitcher. This is Tim saying check out our show on Wednesdays. That's Deconstructing Comics.
Imagine a podcast that celebrates the things we love. Why spend time being so angry and cynical about our fandoms? Join me, the irredeemable Shag, for a show where we're just trying to be happy. The Once Upon a Geek podcast. Our discussions focus on a variety of geeky subjects that we're passionate about. While the topics will be ever-changing, our focus will be on science fiction, comic books, what it means to be a geek in this world, and other nostalgia-fueled ideas. Life is short. Focus on the positive. Find your joy. The Once Upon a Geek podcast, part of the Fire and Water Podcast Network.
And now, back to the Superman Super Show.
Right. So I thought, well, that's all DC's doing. And then it dawned on me, well, DC has very rarely used real countries and cities, and they'll do New York, they'll do LA, stuff like that, but there's a reason why Superman lives in Metropolis, there's a reason why Batman lives in Gotham, there's a reason why Flash is in, so you read that list of these fake countries that are part of the Axis powers in this universe at this time. So I think the question, will we ever see Nazis in this book? Probably not. Fake Nazis. And it's very obvious in this story that that's who these guys are supposed to be.
Right.
Very obvious. But all right, I'll give you the episode back.
No. Okay. Not a problem, man.
I think that's all I have. for now. There's a couple of things I'll point out that had me rolling out of my chair in laughter almost, but yeah.
All right, so Clark and Lois exit, having watched and gathered whatever information they want for their story that their expose they're supposed to write. And on the way out, you get the hang on a second from Clark, and you can almost see him patting himself down. It's like, oh man, I think I dropped my pen. I need to go grab that before we leave.
Yeah.
So he goes back in, changes to Superman, and now the next several pages? Let's see. Yeah, the next 2 pages basically are we started with the athletes from this country of Dukalia athleting. We don't know that they are competing against, and we don't know exactly the nature of what's going on. Yeah. It is a seeming athletic competition, which in my mind means Dukalia is on one side of the contest and someone else, presumably Americans, since that's where it's taking place, are on the other side. But we don't see any direct competitions. We don't see the Dukalia athletes winning event after event after event or anything like that. But Superman comes in, having been offended. Now, this is a part that I don't agree with. I think he was just wrong. You can agree with the point of what he's doing. And I will say that there are certain things going on currently that I agree with the end game. I understand and agree with what they're trying to accomplish. My problem is methodology to get there. That is what I have a problem with here. Yeah. Superman is Superman. And so he takes athletes from these various competitions and outdoes what they do to show that they're not, pardon me, the shit. But then I'm like, dog, you're Superman. This would be like me as a physical, prime, fit 25-year-old going up against a bunch of middle schoolers and saying, see, I can beat you. And it's like, well, of course you can.
Right.
Other than trying to do something to their spirit, to crush there's nothing else you're accomplishing by doing this. And that is what I believe is going on, that ultimately Superman is showing. He's not showing that American athletes, democracy, the West, or whatever other division you want to throw out there, he's not showing that because he is not that. Yeah. Yes, he's an earthling, and we just got done talking about how he's not alien, but he is not the representative of the other side. He is Superman.
Well, even then, the product of what makes him, the reason he's superior has nothing to do with America, has nothing to do with Earth, the yellow sun, sure. But
no, it has to do with the opposite. It has to do that he is not Earth,
right.
That he is not here,
Right. Now, I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to argue whether or not what he does here is right or wrong. But I'll say this, because just page 2, the way page 2 opens up. So he's changed into Superman, and he kind of enters the arena, but he's kind of hanging back. And he says out loud, of course, I'm convinced the sports festival is but the front for an organization fomenting un-American activities. The Dukalian consul is about to speak. I'll lend an ear. And if I don't like what he says, ... threat implied, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So then the Karl Wolff, Wolff, W-O-L-F-F, the Dukalian consul, gets up to give a speech. He is very Hitler looking. He's got a shirt and tie that are the exact same color, and he's got a little symbol over his right breast. It's a circle with like a double cross. It's like a cross with 2 vertical.
You can see it in the next
lines.
panel on the front of the lectern. It's that same symbol.
And he's got his hand thrown up. So I just looking at it, I'm
he
seeing
could be
Hitler.
Throwing a fist.
He totally could, and he probably is.
It's, he totally
to
emphasize.
Could. Yeah, but Hitler did that a lot too, right?
Yeah, right.
Wunderweiter, wunderbar.
Yeah.
shaking his fist and stuff. And here's what he has to say. Present here is the flower of Dukalian youth. You have seen them perform physical feats which no other human beings can. Proof, I tell you, that we Dukalians are superior to any other race or nation. Proof that we are entitled to be the masters of America. So imagine that these are the Nazis. This guy wouldn't, if these were the Nazis, this guy wouldn't be Hitler. Hitler wouldn't come to America and make this speech, but he's a American Nazi. Now imagine you said Jack Kirby hated Nazis. Imagine instead of Superman, that's Jack Kirby. And he just happens to have the powers of Superman. I have to imagine him standing there listening to that speech. He'd go, oh yeah, let me show you what for.
That's right. He would do the exact same thing that Superman did. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's childish, it's petty, and it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't make any sense in regard to, I'll show you some American muscle. No, you're not showing them you're showing them Kryptonian muscle.
Exactly.
Under a yellow sun. But yeah. And then, like you said, but he doesn't just best these athletes in their various sports here, and they're all track and field sports.
Yeah.
The first guy is a shot putter, picks the guy up with one hand up above his head, and he says, so you're the shot putter, eh? Let's see if we can break your record or your neck. And then he throws the guy like a shot put, who, look at the way he lands. That guy's dead.
That probably is what happened.
If he's not dead, he is paralyzed. He broke his neck. And then, he
doesn't just beat them. He does things that they are not capable of doing. You know, it's not like, oh, well, he just outjumps them or outruns them or something. It's like, no, he Supermans them in whatever their respective event is. So, you know, they have no chance. So you've got the shot put, you've got the high jump, you've got the hurdles, which the final panel on this page is, in essence, the scene that we see in the first half-page splash of him carrying the athlete hurdling. So he's, actually, I'm sorry, the hurdle, but he also does the 100-yard dash. Where he grabs the guy by the shirt in the back of the pants and does the 100-yard dash with him in front in 2 seconds flat. So that guy is like rug burned from top to bottom. Yep. He's a walking scab now walking out of here because he's all the flesh has been rubbed off of him 100 yards in 2 seconds. Yeah. So
and that's what's funny because he takes these athletes with him. So you're the pole vaulter, right? He picks the guy up.
He jumps.
The hurdler, he hurdles over all the hurdles in one leap, carrying the guy with him. Like you said, the sprinter, he picks him up by the back of his neck and the back of his shorts, and he runs the 100-yard dash in 2 seconds. So you know these guys, the shot putter, like I said, if he's not dead, he's paralyzed.
Yeah,
these other guys probably suffered from, if not minor bruises, some broken bones. The 100-yard dash guy, I bet he got some whiplash, you know,
starting and stopping. Yeah,
it's very reminiscent of Superman destroying anything that has to do with an automobile in that issue that a friend gets run over by a car, you know, and he just like, fuck all this, and just destroys the car lot, destroys the manufacturer that is making the cars. And this is kind of the same thing. It's like he can just suddenly turn into a superpowered baby at sometimes, you know, at times during these Golden Age stories. And, you know, you always, what would happen if Superman went bad? And here's a guy who has you know, a lot of arguments, Superman wouldn't go bad because he's Superman. And that's one of the things that's great about him but here is a Superman. Yeah. Here is a Superman that I think is kind of walking the line. He can tip over to evil pretty easily, depending on what may go on around him.
And this may be unpopular also, but this is going to be my thoughts. This gentleman from the Dukalian consul, his little speech, okay? It's my understanding, And it is my belief that in this country, he has every right to stand there and say what he's saying. I do not disagree with him being able to voice this opinion at all. Now, beyond this, putting this opinion into some sort of action, that is where he very likely will run afoul of my belief and what I believe should occur in the United States. But to be very clear, I do not have any problems with him being able to speak. His message, yes. Anything beyond that, yes. He has the right to have this opinion. I believe 100%, and that
I agree.
Is what I will defend. He has the right to have this belief.
Yep.
And I have to say that because now we are finding that even this puts him on someone's shit list and would cause him trouble under the current powers that we have now. And that is wrong. I disagree with that. It's wrong.
No, I agree. I mean, the Wolf, he's not breaking any laws. They probably got the right permits to hold this festival. He's just being an asshole, basically. He's being a white supremacist. I'm better than you, asshole.
Yep. I don't agree with that. I don't believe you. And,
right. Yeah. Superman's reaction, perfectly understandable. Not the right thing to do.
No, it's understandable,
illegal,
but
what he did is illegal.
I think it's several cases of assault here. Nobody did anything to him to initiate this, so you can't do any stand my ground bullshit or any of that other stuff. It's like, no, I'm bigger and better, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to bully you.
Yeah, and while I can say Superman's reaction is understandable, at the same time, Superman, it's the whole with great power comes great responsibility argument. He's got to be better than that. Yep. And, you could argue that he's still young in his career, blah, 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 blah. But still.
But again, he made a choice. It comes down to a choice, Yeah. At some point, everyone gets to that stage where they are able to make the choice, and they should then be held accountable for that choice. Yep. Whatever came before, whatever led them to it, whatever, they made the choice. Yeah. So.
And I'll add this too, because I believe, just like you, we have, regardless of what you are saying, you have the right to say it. That's the way it is in this country. We have the right to say whatever we want, to speak our mind. That is, that's freedom of America. That's what our fathers fought for, and our grandfathers and all that stuff. But at the same time, with that, again, with great power comes great responsibility. You have every right to stand in front of a crowd of people and spew hate speech for an hour and a half. You just have to understand that when you do that, not only do you need to understand you have that right, you also need to understand that it's going to come with some sort of there's a cause and effect. That's
exactly. Yeah.
Now, the effect in this case was an act of assault by Superman. It was an illegal act of assault, but it doesn't justify what Superman did. But the guy knew he was being inflammatory on purpose. I mean, exactly. You go to another country, you beat their people. First of all, that's bad enough. You beat and then you talk shit about the fact that you beat. It's like you have the right to stand on a street corner and talk shit. Just be aware that someone might come up and punch you in the mouth for the shit that you're talking. It might be illegal. They might get in trouble, but chances are, if you do it long enough, somebody will do that. Exactly. Here's a funny thought I just had. Imagine this scene happening in 1987, but instead of Superman, it's Guy Gardner. That's totally something the Guy Gardner of the 80s would do. Because he was a big conservative, Rambo, Reagan-loving superhero.
And you see ultimately what happened to him, too, in the pages of the Justice League International.
Yep, yeah.
Not necessarily related specific instance, but overall, over time, that character and the famous confrontation with Batman, where Batman just finally had enough. And yes. That's exactly it. You have the right to say that, yes. But be aware. That's all. Be aware. Don't come whining when that's what happens, because you knew there was a chance of that happening and you chose to do that anyways.
Yeah. That's the problem I have these days with, a neo-Nazi holding a rally in frickin' Oregon or somewhere and blah, 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 spewing a bunch of hate. And then people go online, blah, 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 he can't say it. I have the right. I have freedom of speech. Yes, you do. You do have the right to say that. Yeah. Somebody's going to come up and punch you in the mouth eventually, and you're just going to have to live with that fact.
Whether or not they have that right, that is what's going to happen.
Exactly.
So don't come crying to me. I'll do what can be done legally because that happened to you. Yes, because that's also part of the whole picture. But be aware that
and part of that, part of that in this day and age are all those people going on social media and on the news and all the pundits. I can't believe they said that. We should vote them out of office. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that is not the way it works. That is not the way it's intended to work.
And so then I have the right to say what I want. Everybody wants to throw me under the bus. So why? Well, that,
Yeah. And they have the right to throw you under the bus, and that's it. Now, if they're not, doing anything, if they're not slashing your tires or whatever, you had the right to speak. They have the right to speak. That's the way that goes. Any coin you can imagine has a flip side. If the one side is viable and is possible, the flip side is viable and possible as well. Please, there is no one way it happens. It's like, no. There's always two sides to everything. And we have gotten to a point where everybody just wants one side. They want my side of the coin, not the reverse side. Okay. I gotta stop, or I'll keep going. Okay, so Superman has just shown up all the athletes here. Now he is going after. Is this
Mr. Wolf?
Yeah, isn't this Wolf that he goes after the dude that was talking the crap?
Yeah.
So he took care of all the little munchkins, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not casting aspersions.
The minions,
just
the peons.
Minions, there we go, yeah. Now he goes after the dude that was spewing the hate, and takes him, and which is, I got to admit, it's pretty funny. He flies him to the top of a flagpole and basically leaves him there. And this is a big flagpole. We're looking at, 50, 75 feet tall. This is a big one. And just leaves the dude hanging there, and he's like, okay, this, here, talk your crap from here.
He didn't even hang him from the flagpole. It's not like he stuck the flagpole through his jacket or something. The guy, he literally made the guy, he's hanging onto the flagpole with his hands.
Right. So if he's not strong enough.
Right. He's going to fall.
Yeah. Yeah, really. That's you get down now. It's your problem. Yeah. So, Clark heads back. Fortunately, he did find his pin when he hooks back up with Lois.
Lois didn't hear. She heard a tumult. She tells him that. Did you find your pin? And what was the tumult in there? Lois wouldn't stand a few feet away
to look and see what's going on now.
If any character in the DC universe is not going to go investigate suspicious noise, that's not Lois Lane is going to go look.
Especially since probably most of whatever was going on was running down by the time they left. That's why they left. So it was like over. Yeah. And so here all of a sudden it picked back up, and I thought it was over. Well, I'm going to go see what started things up again.
Yeah. Because the kind of noise she would have been hearing are screams from the athletes, probably angry shouts and from other athletes. Yeah. So, and she was just like, I wonder what that is. Oh, well, I'll wait for Clark to get his pin.
Everybody's making noise. Yeah. So the next page, we start seeing some things that I'm starting to like as far as the design of the comic, and that is that the internal monologue is starting to be bracketed off, even though it's in a word balloon and they might be speaking also. So it's a conservation of space in that the one balloon can have internal and external dialogue both. And I like that is where we've gotten. I kind of wish contemporary comics use that as well, but I think for some reason, us as the reader nowadays is not smart enough to separate. So the balloons will all have one or all have the other. They don't put both in one balloon anymore. even though the balloons are drawn differently, and I mean, you can tell internal and external, but we can't put them in the same balloon anymore because that's I don't know, too confusing.
And I'll admit, I was momentarily confused the first time I saw that. I was like, why is this part of the dialogue in the word balloon in parentheses? What is that? It didn't take long to realize, those are their inner thoughts.
Yeah, it's inner, yes. So they start talking about seeing Lang there. That seems to be the most important thing. We're told here by the narrator, Lois makes a beeline for Lieutenant Ferguson of the Naval Intelligence.
Naval Intelligence.
Lieutenant Ferguson looks suspiciously like Clark Kent.
He does. That's not from the second panel to the third panel, if you're not reading.
Same hair color, eyeglasses, same suit, same tie. Yeah. It's like, if you're not really paying attention, when you look at that, you're like, why is she talking to Clark about the Lang Navy? What? But yeah, the narration box is the only way, basically, you have to tell the two apart, particularly since they're juxtaposed panels.
And I really enjoy the conversation the two of them have there in those first two panels before they split off, because it's Lois is, we need to look into this. This deserves investigation. And Clark's, you're just wasting your time. But then he's thinking, I have to keep her away. I got to discourage her from doing this because it's going to be dangerous. I don't want to get hurt. And then she's thinking, he doesn't want me to investigate this because he's going to take the story for himself. Right. And it's really, I enjoyed it. We'll talk about this here in a bit, but the story structure in this story is very, I think, for the Superman stories we've read up to this point, I think the story structure in this is unique.
Mm-hmm. So far, yeah. So Lois has spoken to someone at the Navy about Lang, not really talking about the fact that she saw him at this meeting, but just trying to get some background on Lang, on what he did, what his career was like. She goes to the hotel where Lang is staying, which I'm not really sure how she got a hold of that information, but okay. She has knowledge. Maybe it's a hotel, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's where he's staying. It could also be that he has some offices there by what happens here in a little bit. Maybe she has knowledge of that, but either way, she's gotten information. She saw Lang. She's gotten information about Lang. Now she's wanting to go investigate Lang. So that's what's happening with Lois's part of the story. Pretty cool scene here from where she goes from one room to the next. She has a hook and rope and connects it to the adjoining window, and then climbs, not very well, but climbs into the next window.
Yeah. Starts
to investigate some things, and
she takes that up a notch in this story.
Yeah, as far as what she does, physically and what she's willing to do.
She brought into that room a rope and hook in her purse. I mean, she specifically asked for the room. Yep, exactly. Yeah,
yeah. She asked for the room. She knew what room he was in. She made up some kind of line for the hotel dude about wanting the room next to his.
Yeah,
so that she could use the rope and hook outside to gain access to the other room. That's yeah. She's pretty far thought out.
She's a planner like Batman. That's why her and Batman get along.
Just like Batman, sure thing. She's going to punch Guy Gardner one of these days.
That's right. She would too.
Oh yeah. So she's in the room and she hears somebody messing with a package in a dresser drawer in an adjoining. Like she's in the next let's say apartment. And it's multiple rooms. In a room away from where she is, she hears something going on. After that person leaves, she goes to see what they were doing, assuming that was Lang in the other room because that's whose suite this is supposed to be. So if somebody else is there, it must be him.
Yeah.
So she goes to check this out and is caught by, I don't think, this might be Hall.
I think it's, I don't he's think blonde. She mentions when the guy comes into the room her internal dialogue says that it's one of the prize-winning athletes who attended the sports festival. So this could just be some nameless athlete,
right?
Thug.
So she gets away from him. He tries to subdue her because she is somewhere she's not supposed to be. She gets away, and on the way out, before she is out, Lang comes in. So now Lang knows that she was in his stuff because she is still there.
And this page here is an example of, we talk about them using text to describe what's going on in panels that we can see what's going on. But this page is an example of they fit so much stuff into this story that there's not enough room for all of the artwork to tell the story. So when we have the panel where a dude comes up behind her, he slaps his hand over her mouth, the next art panel, she's running away. And so they have to explain to us that she kicks back sharply. There's a whole action sequence that we don't see. They tell us in a little bit of text. And I find that very, very interesting because I seriously doubt it was because the artist just didn't feel like drawing it. They just probably didn't have enough room to fit all the art in.
Well, but why the choice to narrate that?
Yeah.
And not show it as opposed to showing her running and narrating that? What was the decision as to what to illustrate and what to narrate here?
Yeah.
So
because that narration box, half of it is explaining something that happened that we didn't see, and then the other half is telling us that she's dashing towards the door, which we do see.
Right, in the next panel. Yeah. So
it's
Well, it's just, this is definitely one of those situations where it would be cool to have been there and to hear the discussion of draw this, don't draw that. Why? What is the difference in your thinking here? Whereas, I don't know, in another story, maybe, the next story, maybe there won't be any narration boxes at all, and it will have been determined to draw it all out. What differs from story to story?
Yeah, because I don't think those decisions are not made. I don't think they're artistic decisions. I don't think they're like, well, let's do this because artistically it fits the. Because these were like they were churning out stories that this. Yeah, I'd be interested too because we know about the Marvel method, Stan Lee in the Stan Lee days, where he would basically just sit down with the artist and say, let's do an issue where the Fantastic Four fights some giant monsters. And Ben Grimm has to at one point get in a fight with Johnny. And then the artist tells the story. The artist does all the work. Hands in all the pages.
And an end. Yeah. And maybe a beat or two in there that he wants thrown in. Otherwise, the artist wrote the story.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That is what happened.
It's exactly what happened. And then Stan Lee would go in and look at those final pages and then determine the dialogue and the narration to go along with the art.
Based on the art. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how they did it. If anybody knows how it worked at this time, where did writers do full scripts like some of them do nowadays where they describe everything? I'd be really interested. That's a good. Let's find somebody who can tell us.
Let's go. Somebody out there, tell us.
Tell us. Maybe we'll have you on.
Ooh, threat. No, that's a carrot. It's not a threat. It's not the rod. It's the carrot. That's
You listen to us, or we'll make you be on the show.
Yeah.
I don't even want to listen to it. Why would I want to be on it?
And keep in mind, I am no crap detective.
That's right. Yeah, you can't believe anything I say, but
says so right there. Steven says he's full of crap, but I am a crap or ill crap or whatever it would be. It's
of course I'm the one that changed his thing to say no crap detected. So if I'm full of crap,
maybe he's not. Maybe I am because
we're both full of crap. That's what that means.
That's the whole point. Is just that slight bit of doubt. That's all you need.
It's a
little bit. Lois is trying to get out, runs into Lang, coming back into his digs here. So, he grabs her up, and as he's holding her, Hall, a dude that we're going to know is named Hall, shows up. He's a flunky. So now we have two bad guys and we have one good guy. And unfortunately for the story, the good guy is Lois. She's a girl. Girls at this time, they don't really, she got away from one dude and that's okay. She's not going to be able to get away from two. Oh, but look, she gets away from two by assaulting a third. And so when she's hoping, it says that she hopes she'll get arrested. But I think what she's hoping is dude that she kicks in the knee gets pissed and wants to punch her boyfriend in the mouth because he's not controlling his girl. And that's not what happens.
Yeah, she kicks the elevator operator.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of my. I'll just say it now. This is my favorite moment in the story because it's such a weird addition because it goes nowhere at all. No. She's like, I've got to do something. I have to do something. I'll get myself arrested. Kicks the elevator operator. And then all that happens is Lang just tells the guy, "Oh, she's mentally unbalanced. We're taking her to a doctor."
She's crazy. It's okay.
And somebody's okay, all right. Hold on just a second. I got to check on something. Hold on. Be right back.
Okay. If anybody's listening, comment, because we haven't seen anybody commenting yet, or I haven't seen them so far. So if somebody is listening live, give a shout out there.
All right, I'm back.
Boy, you'll have to edit that out. I was just talking some shit about you. So I
bet you were. I can't wait to go back and listen to it.
Yeah, just cut that out. Yeah. So just me and anybody that's online hurt. So
just like as soon as I walked away, that son of a bitch, man.
Damn.
Makes me come in on Saturdays and he just won't shut up and he just goes off and he does things.
Yeah, you'll have to listen in there too. Yeah.
The Superman Super Show will return after these messages.
It is a world transformed, where things are not what they seem. Transformers!
Want to learn a bit about the Transformers? Think you know everything about Cybertron, but are looking to learn a little bit more? Enroll today at Transformers University Podcast. Each episode will tackle a piece of Transformers history, starting in 1984 and marching our way up to today. Hosted by me, Anthony Dukalia, 3-time Emmy Award winner and consulting producer on Netflix's The Toys That Made Us, and lifelong Transformers fan. We'll go on a journey through cartoons and comics, toys and movies, and all the weird esoterica from around the world, chronicling the adventures of everyone's favorite robots in disguise. Listen to Transformers University on iTunes, Google, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Transform and roll out!
According to the latest report from falsifiedstats.com, there are currently 12 million active comic book podcasts clogging up the internet superhighway, and 2.3 million new comic book podcasts are being created every single day. If you're looking for something a little different, then let me tell you about Mike's Comic Shop Roadshow. Mike travels the globe and visits comic shops along the way, talking to the owners or really just whomever happens to be minding the store that day. And it's through these conversations that you'll meet some wonderful people and learn how comic shops are run in places like Murfreesboro, Illinois, and Liverpool, New South Wales, Australia. So check out Mike's Comic Shop Roadshow, a truly unique comic book podcast among billions of the same old, same old. Find it now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Mike, and I approve this message.
And now back to the Superman Super Show.
So yeah, like you said, Lang just gives the crazy broad excuse to the elevator operator, and he's like, "Oh, okay, I understand. Wink, wink. I gotcha." So Lang and Hall get Lois down to the car. They take her to a meeting with Wolf, the Dukalian consul. Somewhere across town, maybe at the sports stadium. We don't know necessarily where he is, and we find out that something is afoot. Not that you wouldn't think that reading a comic book, but the story hasn't told us. Lang, go ahead.
This is the part of the episode where I will insert the audio clip from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Strange Things Are Afoot at the Circle K.
Okay.
Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
Lang is telling Wolf, and we see from their narration, we caught this spy in my room. What shall we do with her? It's interesting that if Lang is in the area of or, you know, whatever, that he doesn't recognize her as Lois Lang.
She recognized him.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But so he thinks she's a spy, and he's talking now to Carl Wolf, who is the consul, the dude that was basically in charge of the Dukalia athletic thing. You going to say something?
Well, we don't know it now. We know by the end of the story, of course, that Lang is a double agent.
Right.
So maybe he does recognize her. He's just playing the part of a spy. Yeah, he doesn't want to put her in any danger, and so
okay.
I don't know.
In retrospect,
immediate danger.
That could be he knew who she was, but didn't want to say because it would put her in even more danger.
Yeah.
Perhaps than he could control, whereas he can kind of control it now. So,
right.
Could be. Somehow I don't think so, because I think you're attributing more design into the story than probably what they put into it. So,
yeah.
But it's possible, yes. But we see here, Wolf tells us, take her along. Okay, that makes sense. She may even prove useful as a bomb target. So,
yikes.
Now we know that there is big stuff going on with Wolf and Dukalia, and probably why they're in the country, and everything moving forward now in the story. It wasn't just, again, like you would know that because it's in the story, it wasn't just. But as far as the story coming along, it's not just a situation where somebody is doing this to make the U.S. look bad or whatever, some kind of propaganda thing. No, these dudes apparently have a bigger, more nefarious plan, and now we're starting to get wind of that.
Yeah.
Finally. So here, let's see, we have Lang saying, remember, the $50,000 was just for a demonstration ride on my startling invention. So Wolf has given Lang $50,000 to do something. True, an additional $2 million will be paid for the invention if it meets with my complete satisfaction. So you get $50,000 to show the product. You get $2 million if I buy the product.
Yeah.
That is not bad. I don't know very many situations where you could get $50,000 for proof of concept. That's
especially in 1941. That's some money.
Usually proof of concept is what you do to get the money to begin with. It's not, I pay you for proof of concept, and then you get money. Yeah, so
it's what you use to convince them to give you the money.
Yeah, exactly. So however this got set up, Lang or his people did a pretty good job, because they're like, even if I don't like it, I still get $50,000. That's not bad. So Lois is hearing this, and now she's starting to be us. Basically, she is, I think, for this story, our point of view. Yeah. She's talking back to Lang about, how bad this is, how un-American it is, and which is actually, I don't think Superman really said anything. That's the first time we really get, maybe this is the thrust of the story. If you've made a great military discovery, don't you think our country is entitled to it? So by him doing this is un-American, and I think that is the story, is about someone doing something un-American in the face of what's going on in the world today. That's probably what was driving let me jot down this story real fast, and we'll put it out there. When Dukalia conquers America, I'll receive an important post. So he gets $50,000, and if they like it, he gets $2 million. And if they like it enough to take over the U.S., he gets a position. So Lang is dog is set up, man. He is, thinking about the future. He's got some cash. He's going to have a position. I don't know. They'll name him like in charge of the military, like call him JFK. No, never mind. I'm sorry. Actually, it's not J. I think it's what is the dude's name?
RFK Jr.
Yeah, Robert. So. Anyways, and if you don't agree with me, folks, that's fine. I
agree with you.
I don't mind.
He's a fucker.
It's yeah. I'm sorry. I've said that now, and it's put my mind in a whole nother place.
Well, I'll say that this is the point in the story where I mentioned that this story is unique. The story structure, this is where it becomes unique because Lois and Clark separate.
Right.
There's that moment where they separate. Lois wants to go investigate him. Clark doesn't want her to, but he knows that she's gonna, and so so they separate. And then we get Lois's story first.
Mm-hmm.
And then it takes us back in time to right after Lois and Clark split up. Clark changes it. So we get Clark's part of the story then.
Right.
So it's like one of those TV shows or movies where you have one story, but then you get everybody's side of it first, and then it all comes together. That's what's happening here. It's not. I don't think it was specifically designed in any kind of, we're going to do this fun little, it's just the way they did it, because it probably made more sense for the story to do it that way. But I found that interesting because I was really confused at first, because that was something they kind of explained when Lois has departed. Clark removed his outer garments. And so that's our only hint that we just jumped back in time a little bit.
Right.
So,
and if you look, 3 panels here, you see Lang and Wolf. I accept your term splendid. And it's like, are those the terms that we were talking about up here with the $50,000 and the $2 million and I'll get a position and all that? And the only way there is that Lois isn't in this bottom scene.
Yep.
Whereas she should have been, because she was right here with them, just 2 panels above. So between...
That the thing is that I don't think they pulled it off very well as far as trying to, because once I realized, this is okay, so now we've backed up. Now we're going to get Superman's part of the story, and we'll see things that happen like that panel, things that happen that they talked about in Lois's story, but now we're going to see those things. But once I realized that, then I start reading this in that fashion.
Right.
Like, ooh, okay,
right, yeah.
How does this fit into place? Where does this fit? And then it just made me even more confused, because I don't think they did a really good job of kind of fitting.
Yeah, here they're expecting the reader to be, I think, intelligent enough to catch on, but they didn't quite give you the breadcrumbs that you needed to really catch on. In their mind, it probably made sense. They understood what was going on.
Yep.
But for somebody reading what they're doing, it's like, wait a minute now, where are they? What? So, yeah.
And it's when we get to the next page. So we're looking at page 7, I guess, is what I'm looking at when the Superman part of the 2 stories start. Mm-hmm. It's when we get to the second page, there'll be a moment there that I'll want to point out as my least favorite part of this issue.
All right, so Superman now is going to basically do the same thing that we followed Lois doing. She's going to check into, he's going to check into Lang, who is this, but now he's looking like that, and it's confusing me, and I want to try to straighten this out. So he's following Lang. He hears Lang talking to who's going to turn out to be Karl Wolf, but unless you've really paid attention, you can't tell that because you don't see the face. So you have to go by the fact how he's dressed and the fact that he has a El Chapeau on to tell everybody apart. Now, after having read enough Golden Age stuff, I find out how important the color of the suits that they wear was for them.
Yep.
And now that I know that, as I'm reading these stories, I pay more attention to things like that in order to be able to separate, because everybody pretty much is a male Caucasian between, 25 and 60.
Yep.
Sometimes it'll be hair color, sometimes it'll be facial hair, but typically it's a no facial hair, white dude. How do I tell them apart?
Yeah, and they all dress the same back then. So it's...
So it's... finally, it dawned on me, it's got to be the color, because sometimes the choices for color of the suit is kind of weird just by itself.
Yeah.
But they did that with a limited number of colors to be able to tell 3 or 4 people apart. I mean, you're still not going to be able to tell 10 or 12 dudes apart because there's just not enough color. But 3 or 4 guys. Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I think that's why I almost feel like that's why the idea of putting a hero, especially a superhero, into a costume is it was one of the surefire ways to make that character stand out.
Right. You
among
could
all the others
tell
that look
him
the
apart.
same. Yeah.
Yeah. And plus 2 now also, that's a really good way. I know this dude in the fancy colors is good guy. Anybody not in fancy colors is bad guy. So that's like everybody else.
Well, and
separated.
we've already had a moment in this book where when Lois goes to naval intelligence and the dude she's talking to looks like Clark. And because it happens right after a panel in which she is talking to Clark. So we've already had a moment in this book where we couldn't tell without reading if somebody was Clark Kent or somebody else. But there's no mistaking when it's Superman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Superman is following Lang. He's heard Lang talking to this dude, but Superman doesn't know because he was too far away. It's the kind of thing, kind of like what Wolverine will do when he gets the scent of somebody, he can follow them through, or what Daredevil does when he hears a particular person's gait or something like that, he can follow him anywhere. Superman has honed in on Lang's voice in particular, and so he can follow Lang, though he doesn't necessarily know anybody else what's going on because that's not what he's focusing on. He's just focusing on keeping up with Lang. So he does that audibly with hearing because he's too far away. Follows Lang to a car. I don't understand this part of the story necessarily. Lang is on a very narrow mountain pass and he gets thrown off the pass trying to avoid a truck. Superman has to save him and put him back on the road. I don't get it.
Which is the second time we've had an instance where Superman is following somebody by hiding under their car. The person driving almost got into an accident. Superman saves them and the person didn't even realize, they just thought it was them.
Right.
Because the other one was just a few stories back where the guy almost runs into a woman in the street, drives into her, and he clarks under the car. Superman's under the car, and he digs his fingers into the road
to stop it. Yeah,
because we were wondering, is somebody going to come fix those gouge marks in the road?
Who fixes that? They'd be pretty pissed, man. Look, who did this to my street? Yeah.
So here's a second time where he saved somebody in a car. And the person doesn't even realize that they were,
that they
I came
were
pretty
saved.
close there.
Yeah.
I'm a good driver. Thank God I'm a good driver. I don't know why I'm good. I don't know what I did. But
Lang makes it to the waterfront, which is ultimately where he's going. Superman Superman's watching, and now we're starting to see the full image of where this story has been going. We're probably 2/3 of the way through it, and we see Lang has something to do with a submarine. That's what's here at the waterfront. So he jumps in the submarine, and the submarine takes off. Well, let's see here. Take it out for a trial spin as you direct. So they go out in the submarine, and then isn't that Lang on the phone?
Yeah, this is when I said when we get to the next page, we'll get to my worst, least favorite part of the issue, and this is it.
This is before the Superman after the Lois going. So we saw the two of them together. We saw Lois go and do her thing. Then we came back to catch up with Superman, what he was doing while we were following Lois. And so we have seen Superman up to the waterfront. Now we're jumping back in time again to a phone conversation before the meeting where the two men parted ways, and we only saw the dude in the suit from the back, because this phone call is setting up that meeting.
I don't know. I know that this is an entirely confusing page. I didn't feel like there was any kind of time jump.
Oh, really?
Another time jump, which might help make a...
Well, but I mean, Lang just Lang just got on a submarine, so he can't be making this telephone call.
He didn't get on the submarine. I'm assuming that is Lang standing there on the dock telling one of his people to take the submarine out for a spin. No, that is the worst panel of this entire story, because I really struggled to figure out what was going on. And the reason it makes this panel almost makes me angry is because I understand the whole purpose of this Superman part of the story. The Lois part, the purpose there is to learn that Lang is a traitor, that he's working with Wolf, and that he has created some kind of military thing that he might sell to this guy who will then use it to conquer America. So the Superman portion is to kind of not learn what that thing is, but this is the mysterious, this may be what they're talking about, which is this submarine that disappears in the water.
Right.
But that panel with the guy who is literally in silhouette telling somebody in the submarine to take it out for a spin. My first thought was, okay, this is because the Wolf guy, he's paying $50,000 for a test drive.
Right.
And then if he likes it, so this is what I thought that was at first.
So this might be him, you're thinking.
That's what I thought.
Wolf. Okay.
But if that's Wolf in the submarine, he calls the dude on the dock, sir. It can't be Wolf. So I can only assume that the dude on the dock is Lang. The person in the sub is just a lackey. And he just go take it out for a drive. And the only reason they did that, and then he goes back into his office to make his call.
Right.
And that makes Superman want to jump into the water to learn more about this mysterious submarine.
The submarine.
And, yeah, and then he can't find it. And I think that's the whole reason here, is to set up the fact that a submarine went into the water, Superman can't find it. That's very mysterious. But it's a horrible page. And when you think about the fact that they didn't include the artwork of Lois kicking the dude that came up and grabbed her from behind, but they included that, they didn't need that panel.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But
okay. So what you're saying makes sense. Lang here tells him just to make sure everything works, because I'm going to show this off to somebody here in a little while. So we need to make sure it's all good.
And
then he goes to make the call to set that up whenever it's supposed to happen.
And you feel like, because I felt like all this stuff that happens on the Superman portion of the story, there's just, at first there was just no way that all this that's happening with Superman happened in the time when they separated, because the Lois stuff doesn't seem to take that long. But there is a moment in there, because she goes into that hotel, Lang is staying there. She finds out not only that he's not there, but what room number he's in. And then it says she comes back later with the suitcase. That could be 5 minutes later. That could be an hour later. Obviously she went home and made some plans and got a rope and a hook and put it in the suitcase. And so, that panel threw me through such a loop. Who's the guy on the dock? Who's the person in the sub? What's the point of this? It almost ruined the whole story for me, and it didn't.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
I don't like being confused, because then I feel stupid.
Well, I mean, it isn't the job of the story to not do that. So, I mean, when it does that, it's like, well, what's the point? I just
unless you're Alan Moore, then the job is to make it make sense, but then hide all this other stuff in it, so other people can point it out and feel smart and superior.
Whatever. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was not a dig at Peter Rios. Okay, Peter, settle down. That was not. I love you, man.
You're the smartest man in the room, Peter.
Yeah, but come on.
I'll admit it. That's
Give Watchmen a break. Okay, the obsession has lasted too long.
Ouch. Waiting for that feedback.
Yeah. Yep.
So Lang calls what presumably is Wolf. I'm ready to take you on a demonstration voyage at once. So that was kind of the thing that he alluded to with in the Lois scene. Superman is, to me, it looks like Superman is stretched out on a desk here listening to him. And then we see that Superman is perched atop a building on the waterfront.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if both of these are supposed to be the same place or if he moves or whatever. But he is almost like pinup stretched out on the desk. It's kind of iffy there. It's
right.
I expect that this is Superman Betty in quotes, kind of laid out there. He'll be in the 41 calendar or something.
Yeah, right. If I can remember by the time this episode goes out, 2 months from now, there's an introduction to an episode of Monty Python's Flying Circus where it just goes by all these beautiful women in bikinis. They're just all standing in a row and they're going by each of them and they pause on each one. And they're like, hello. They go to the next one and she's like, and then they go to a desk and they're out like in the middle of a grassy field. And they always did this thing with John Cleese sitting behind a desk before one of the seasons would start, and he'd go, and now he'd be at his desk and he'd go, and now, and then it would switch to Michael Palin, who'd say it's, and then they'd go Monty Python's Flying Circus. Anyway, in this version, they get to the desk. John Cleese is at the desk, but he's laying across the top of the desk, just like Superman is, and he's in a bikini.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've seen that episode, or at least I've not seen that opening.
But yeah, when the dude is standing on the dock and the submarine's down there and he tells him take it, there's a little building there on the dock. I'm assuming that's the building that he goes into to make the call.
I guess, yeah. So Superman is here, nice moonlight lit bay there in front of him as he's looking. He's not standing on the dock of the bay, but he is wasting time, I think.
He's standing on the building on the dock of the bay.
Yeah. He's going to go after the submarine. He didn't do that at first because he heard Lang talk about the boat or something. So now Superman wants to find the physical evidence of what's going on. So he dives into the bay, starts looking for the submarine where it should be. I guess he was able to judge how fast it was going, whatever. And he's not able to find it, which in some ways I wouldn't expect him to. Although in other ways, with his hearing, I would expect that he would be able to find the submarine if it was moving at all. Now, if it's not moving, maybe not. But if it's moving, it doesn't that usually make noise, and Superman could track down the noise. Yeah. So either way, he can't find it.
The reason they give, we'll get to it in a bit, but the reason they give to why he can't find it makes absolutely zero sense to me at all. But.
No, it's cool for the submarine, yes, but as far as why Superman, so he is. We saw at the beginning of the story that he's Superman because he's throwing people and he's jumping high and he's running fast and here he uses his telescopic vision, which I don't understand why you would use telescopic vision in water unless you want to look at the plankton or the algae.
Because he was up on that building, he saw the sub go away, and I think at that point he's like, well, let me hear what this guy's going to say on the phone. I'll have no problem finding the sub. Because I can, use my telescopic vision.
No, I'm sorry. I was thinking microscopic vision.
Oh, yeah,
it's telescopic vision. Okay, yeah. Okay. So maybe that would work if you're using, Sorry, guys. I got my scopics messed up there.
That's okay.
So now he runs off to the Dukalian consulate. So Lang is talking to somebody. I don't know that Superman really knows that it's the consul because he didn't see him because he was just listening. First of all, now he's just listening. Unless he picked up the voice on the telephone, which nowadays Superman would do, but I don't know that he did that then. So he's just playing a hunch, and he goes to the consul, rips open the bars that are on the window, kind of being destructive here, quasi against the law. For some reason, they were ready for him. Or this is standard operating procedure for the Dukalian consulate. When bars get ripped off the window, the room is filled with deadly hydrocyanic gas. That's the standard That's what happens. So
I was almost expecting him to, because at first I just assumed the room was already filled. He just happened to come into a room that had already been filled with gas. Not that as soon as he jumped into the room, it started filling with gas, which makes more sense. But I was waiting for he was stumbling into the middle of a battle or something, but
a battle or somebody being killed and he could rescue him or something like that. I read it that the breaking of the bars and him going into the room is what caused the gas to release.
That makes more sense.
A couple guys in suits now in gas. I can't think of what our military calls it, but in protective suits,
like a hazard suit or something.
I think the suit, the military, suit. It's called like something like Mach 3 suit or something like that. I forget what they call it for chemical, biological, atomic warfare. Or at least I think maybe I don't know. I'm just talking out my ass. Sorry, guys. So Superman's here. They're coming to get him. They're coming to subdue him. They're coming to whatever. But they also have guns. So they have released a poisonous gas into this room. But they're also carrying guns in case the poisonous gas doesn't work, which against Superman, it doesn't. The guns that they're bearing don't work. The bullets bounce off of him. Superman tells them, I think you've wasted enough ammunition for today, and punches both of them out.
The one guy, though, the first guy that speaks, what? He's uninjured. They burst into the room, and he's just expecting to see a dead guy on the floor.
Okay. So even more, I guess, evidence for they must have released this gas when the window got broken.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty hardcore security feature.
Yeah.
It's like, you broke in, you're dead.
God forbid you lose your keys and have to come in through the window. You just
whatever. Yeah.
You lose your keys. You're just like, all right, well, I'm never going into this place again. See ya.
Yep. There's no other possibility. If somebody has ripped the bars off the window. Oh, and I also have to make a note that Superman is hanging here to do that.
Yes, he is. He's
the
very
hanging
much
scene, which I have lost my list, but I think we're in like the 70s or 80s of the hanging examples. We're pretty close to the number of the episode. So haven't had it for a while because he's finally been flying, but here. Okay. So now I guess it looks like he goes back out the same window because you have at the top here, you have these busted bars or whatever was on the window. So he goes back out. Right behind him is this Wolf? Let's see. Brown suit and hat, but we can't tell because he doesn't have any facial hair. So I'm not sure if this is Wolf. I'll say that he is because this is supposed to be his home base, the consulate. He talks to the guys who survived. We see down here in the corner a little remnant of the gas, or actually it's Wolf farting. I don't know. But,
I think he's farting.
So that was all of the gas. No, anyways. So basically they're telling him that somebody was here and all of this stuff, the gas and us with our weapons and it didn't stop him. No mention of Superman or a Superman or anything.
They do say it was that incredibly strong man who made
from the
fools
stadium.
of us at the stadium. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but apparently they haven't been in Metropolis long enough to know who Superman. They're like all of the mob in Metropolis. They don't know of the existence of this person.
They don't read papers. They don't listen to news. None of that. No.
Right. So after he left the room here at the consulate, apparently Superman hung out long enough to see Wolf also leave. And we know that Wolf talked to the people in the room and then left. So Superman is, I guess, just hanging out somewhere. He sees Wolf take off in a car and he decides to follow the car, realizes it's going to the wharf, lands on the top of the car, takes a ride to the
I think he's flying. I think he's flying above the car.
Oh, it notes, well, that huge shadow that must go. Oh, okay. No, you're right. The shadow they're thinking is a bird. I was thinking Superman landed on the car and they thought it was a bird. But yeah, you see the shadow here. Yeah, really.
What was that noise? It must be a bird.
A big dent in the road.
What, Big Bird?
Yeah. You see the shadow here in front of the car. So Superman gets to the waterfront, which is where Wolf was going, and sees that Lois is trapped, is a prisoner.
Right. So now that we're back, everything's merged back together.
Right.
Now.
All the storylines have come back. Superman dresses up as Clark because he wants to be captured to keep an eye on Lois, and the Clark persona is the way to do that. Superman is not going to be captured by these thugs. So,
and they mention that he dons his outer garments, which he has carried beneath his cloak. They talk about that again later. And I know that in the 80s, I know that at some point there's this idea that's brought forth that he has a pouch in the back of his cape. And when he changes out of his civilian clothes, he folds them up and he puts them in that pouch. And that's, I guess that this must be where that comes from.
Okay. Yeah. This isn't the first time it's been mentioned.
No. But
it's only been mentioned like maybe once prior to this. But
maybe once previous to this. But I had always assumed that was like a John Byrne 80s thing. But I'm amazed that it goes all the way back to the Golden Age.
Maybe what happened is it just fell out of use.
Yeah.
And it was never addressed until one of these more modern guys that are like, yeah, whatever happens to his stuff when he takes his clothes out? Yeah. So, yes. So now we're seeing, like you said, all these different plot lines come together. We have Wolf and we have Lang, Lois and Clark all here together to do something. The submarine is back. Everybody goes in the sub. The purple suit is Lang. So Lang is, the submarine. Lang is in charge of the submarine. He's wanting to sell it to Wolf. Lang is piloting the submarine, showing Wolf what it can do. Lois and Clark got too close and have been captured, and so now they're all in the submarine together.
The Superman Super Show will return after these messages.
Beginning at the ripe old age of 4 years old, seeing Star Wars for the first time, I became obsessed with the movies. What they were, what they did, what they meant. I turned that obsession into a career, climbing the filmmaking and storytelling ranks as a screenwriter, author, and television maker. Now, I'm taking you on a journey through the cinema that defined my generation, Generation X, in the Celluloid Heroes podcast. Examining the landmark films of the era from the well-known to the obscure to the unexpected, charting a history of cinema growth over the past 50 years, and looking forward to where it's going next. Celluloid Heroes is part memoir, part film analysis, and part exploration of the last 50 years of cinema through a Gen X lens. From the suburban adventures of Star Wars and E.T. the Extraterrestrial, to the Reagan-era cinema of The Right Stuff and Red Dawn, the sunny nostalgia that isn't of Back to the Future and Stand By Me, the year Generation X broke big with Reservoir Dogs and Dazed and Confused, the cautionary Los Angeles center tales of L.A. Confidential and The Limey, the last great golden age of blockbuster filmmaking with The Fellowship of the Ring and Pirates of the Caribbean, and concluding with the mournful ruminations of Inside Llewyn Davis and The Irishman. Celluloid Heroes will take a deep look at the themes, makers, and cultural context of this diverse array of films, and try to determine just what makes them so special to filmgoers, filmmakers, and to this fan in particular, as I chart a life through the movies that inspired me. It's also something of an autobiography of this young film fan who became a filmmaker himself, charting the good, the bad, and the ugly of a life in the creative arts with all of its triumphant moments and bitter defeats along the way. My name is Brad Abraham, and I welcome you to the Celluloid Heroes podcast, a proud member of the Long Box Crusade podcast network. Catch us monthly, and I'll see you there.
And now back to the Superman Super Show.
I thought it was kind of funny here. As Lang pulls the lever, the vessel slants sharply up into the air. Then as it dives beneath the water's surface. So you've got this submarine traveling, and it doesn't do like this and just go under. No, it travels, and it does the woo down into like somebody diving off a diving board or something.
Yeah, and they didn't do a very good job of describing what's going on with this submarine here. They say that it slants sharply up into the air. The panel looks like God, how many times have we seen those scenes in like 80s Cold War movies of like a Russian or American sub coming up out of the water? It just kind of goes, it's
breaching. The submarine is breaching the water. Yeah.
Later, however, in the story, they refer to the sub as a sky sub. And I don't know, we'll see when we get there, but
doesn't it say somewhere that it can fly?
It can fly. So that's
as
yeah. I think that's what they're trying to get to here when they say that it slants sharply
it went up into the air.
Yeah.
And then
because then the only thing that they have to go along with that is Lang saying, you see, my ship can travel above the water as well as beneath it. And don't all submarines do that? Why is that such an amazing thing? And then when later they refer to it as a sky sub, I realized that thing was supposed to be flying.
Right. You're like, oh, you mean like above the water. It's Yeah.
That's the Ghostbusters joke. Just because my girlfriend sleeps above the covers, 4 feet above the covers.
Yep.
And
which would make this like the yellow 2-man submarine from Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea that they were always using. Have you ever seen that show?
No, I don't think I ever watched it.
All-time favorite science fiction shows. It was a 60s show. It was a research vessel that got turned into trying to save the Earth because the Van Allen radiation belts caught on fire.
Oh, good Lord.
And they had to try to find a way to put them out. That was the start of that. And the ship would be on a mission somewhere, and somebody would have to do something, or the captain would have a meeting or something like that. So there was a little 2-man sub that they would eject, and it could fly to wherever. Then it would come back and meet the submarine.
Yeah.
And
so shuttlecraft.
Yeah. In essence, underwater shuttlecraft. Yeah.
I wonder, was that before, during, or after Star Trek?
I think it was before. The name of the submarine was the Seaview.
Okay.
I believe if you know old-time science fiction television, I believe it was Alan Irwin that was responsible for that TV show. I think
I'll look it up. I guarantee you, I probably watched it a lot as a kid. It's probably one of those shows that would be on one of the local UHF stations.
Probably, just to fill space. Yeah.
It was called
Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. It's an awesome show. One of my all-time favorites.
Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, starring Richard Basehart, David Hedison, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
While I look that up, tell everybody this is where we learn in the story why Superman couldn't find the sub when he came looking for it.
Yes. So we have 3 panels back to back with probably more text than we have seen in entire stories up to now, because everything is so complicated that they weren't able to draw pictures. They only could tell us. And so here's the info dump that a lot of times maybe will happen at the beginning of a story to set everything up. But so we have a discussion between Wolf and Lang. Lang starts out.
You see, my ship can travel above water as well as beneath it. Quite an important discovery for modern warfare, eh?
There's your exclamation. Eh?
And anyone can operate it with this simple lever.
So now we have Karl Wolf standing here with a pistol. And he says,
that's all I want to know. Head for the Panama Canal and forget about the $2 million. You'll never live to see it.
Lang.
You could put the gun down. This signal summons my men.
Wolf.
But I've anticipated you. Hall has already attended to them. Spy. You can drop the pose. I happen to have known all along you still serve the U.S. Navy and have used this new invention to snare foreign spies.
So there's a little bit more about what's going on with Lang. Lang.
You must be completely mad. This craft hasn't the slightest chance of penetrating the Panama Canal defenses.
And Wolf tells him,
you underestimate my ingenuity. As Wolf,
this is narration.
As Wolf had prearranged, the Sky Sub,
this is where you are referring, it's referred to as Sky Sub,
is maneuvered so that it is attached to a hook beneath a large freighter.
And then we have a very poor drawing of that.
Yeah. I would have no idea what that drawing was of. Yeah.
I thought at first that this bottom thing was like releasing something in the water, like some kind of poison or something. That's what, but next narration box.
With the aid of special apparatus, torpedoes and bombs are transferred from the freighter to the sub.
Then we have Wolf continuing here.
When the freighter approaches the Panama Canal, it will be inspected and passed. No one will know that hidden beneath it is a craft that will be released at a vital spot to blow up the canal.
Where does it tell us?
It's the second panel of the page.
Of this same page? Oh, I'm sorry. Everybody enters the submarine. Superman, Clark Kent tells us.
The sides made of a transparent plastic. We seem to be moving at terrific speed.
So, and now this drawing looks like what Clark is saying.
Yeah.
If you look at it, you can kind of see that they tried to do a side of the submarine that you could see through and the men standing inside. Any other vision of this submarine, and it just looks like a submarine.
Right.
From the outside, from the inside, when it's underneath the ship, it's all solidly, but this one panel, you're looking from outside through the transparent hull to the men talking. So,
So basically, art mistakes aside, because, I'm having a hard time with the whole, if it's made out of transparent plastic, why does it look like a regular submarine in every single panel, except for the one where you mentioned it's made out of transparent plastic?
Right.
But in essence, it almost makes the submarine like Wonder Woman's invisible jet. But
with the plan that he has in place, doesn't matter.
No, right, yeah.
That's not used.
Exactly. The fact that it is invisible has nothing to do with the story.
It's cool, but
exactly. It's like it was only there to add a little mystery to the story when Superman couldn't find it in the water. Which, if the only reason he couldn't find it in the water is because all the walls are transparent, with his telescopic vision, he should have seen just people underwater.
Dudes floating in the water. Yeah, exactly.
That would have been alarming. There's a really good, I think it's a Family Guy joke where Wonder Woman is in her invisible jet flying through the sky. You know, you always see her sitting there with the outline of the jet. But I think in this joke, it was just her. The jet was assumed. And she's just sitting there, zooming through the sky, and Superman comes flying up and he's like, hey, Wonder Woman, or whatever. You find out that she's not sitting in the pilot seat. She's sitting in the bathroom. She's on the toilet.
Nice. Okay.
I just found that funny.
So I couldn't help but notice you didn't wash your hands in the invisible sink.
So this is where we are. We're in this transparent submarine that's attached to the bottom of a freighter that is going to the Panama Canal to blow up a portion. It says to blow up the canal, but it's just going to blow up a portion of the canal. Which is funny because, of course, before it's all said and done, we will own the Panama Canal once again, according to current leadership. So that's another interesting connection between the story and what's going on now. Canada, Greenland, and the Panama Canal. We're going to have all that.
But they'll change everything to American Land, the American Canal.
The Gulf of America. It's hang on. Let me refocus here because this is.
So, real quick, there was in 1943, Operation Pelican, Pelikan. It was also known as Project 14. Project with, instead of a C, it's a K. A German plan for crippling the Panama Canal during World War II.
Oh, okay. So this can't be alluding to that because this occurred
No, it didn't have.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe they got the idea from the story. I don't know.
Maybe.
No,
Hitler's back in Berlin. He gets the latest issue of Superman. He gets to that story and he goes,
no,
Heiner Schmitzel must blow up the Panama Canal.
No, the Panama Canal is too strategic. It would have it would have obviously been
exactly.
a point to watch and whatever. Back then, anyways. Okay, so now they have decided that, let's see, did Clark do anything? Well, you won't get away with this, Lang says, and Clark says, but it appears he is. And that must have been the final the final thing for Wolf, because then what he's going to do is he's going to kill Clark by putting him in a torpedo tube. I wonder if it's transparent, and firing him out of the submarine, which I'm sure would kill somebody. Yes.
Yeah. And that makes no sense because Clark is begging for his life. Please don't do this. This is murder. And Wolf tells him, you'll only be in the way now. Then why'd you bring him on board in the first place?
I guess just to kill him. And
yeah.
But despite Lois's pleas, the torpedo is shot into the water. And again, the artwork here for the firing of the torpedo is not. I don't know what happened to the art. It kind of suffered. The story was maybe too complicated for the art to be able to accomplish at the time, or so. I don't know, but
it's a shame too because it's a great moment. I'd love to see this happen, in a Superman movie or Superman TV show or something, because
that'd be cool.
It doesn't look great here, but I can picture torpedo being fired out of a submarine, and as soon as it's in the water, he's just like boom,
busts out of the torpedo. Yep,
it's pretty cool.
Superman takes his regular togs off, and I don't know if this time he manages to get him in his cape or not.
Well, it says that he hides him in his civilian beneath his clothes.
Does beneath his clothes. So he's flipping and flopping and doing all this underwater, and okay.
It's another thing I love about the Golden Age. I've mentioned numerous times in the very early stories that you would see Clark sitting on his bed.
Yeah.
Changing into a Superman costume.
Putting clothes on, yeah.
How it looked like a normal guy changing into a Superman costume. And now we have an actual panel of Superman pulling his pants off under the water. I love it. He's under there, changing out of his clothes, folding them up, tucking him into a pocket in his cape, all while underwater.
Keeping an eye on the submarine. Because he catches up to the submarine. He grabs it, actually, and forces it to the surface, probably causing the submarine to breach, much like it would have looked like in the panel earlier in the story where it came up. And so they take, on the surface, they take one of the bombs that they loaded from the ship. And I'm not sure really how this is possible. I guess it really doesn't matter to throw a bomb at, so they throw one at Superman to try to kill him, and it blows up, but it doesn't bother him. He then, which we see but we don't see, he goes back to the submarine. He grabs up Lang and Wolf and throws them onto the freighter.
Yeah, it'd be Wolf and one of his lackeys, I would assume, because Lang's tied up.
Who came up to throw the bomb?
Yeah.
So he scooped him off the sub, grabs him, throws him onto the freighter that the sub was attached to. That's the freighter. Then he puts his clothes back on, goes back into the submarine as Clark rescues Lois and Lang. Does he say here, how did you ever escape? Yeah, Superman saved me.
Yep,
so that's always going to be, that's his MacGuffin from now on that he can pull. How did you manage to? Superman said. Superman did. Superman showed me. Superman. It's like, okay.
The post-crisis story we did, Man of Steel, when they're on the boat on Lex Luthor's yacht, and the terrorists throw him overboard.
Right.
Superman saved me.
Yeah, it's like, why is Superman always around you to get your tush out of the fire? Why? Yeah. I guess for the same reason that Peter Parker is always able to get pictures of Spider-Man. It's just a thing.
He just happens to be, Clark just happens to be with Lois a lot, and Superman spends a lot of his time making sure Lois is safe.
Okay, so that's what it is.
Yeah. It's like, now I gotta save this Clark guy just because he's always with Lois.
Okay, so we're back in the sub. Lang is back in control. Lois makes the comment that the freighter that was being used for this espionage attempt is starting to get away, but then A charge of bombs dropped by Clark blows the freighter to bed. So I guess Clark got the bombs, climbed out of the sub, climbed onto the freighter, left the bombs there, got back to the sub got back underwater, and then the freighter blew up, not harming anybody else in the story. Yeah, okay. Little problem with the story there.
Well, I just noticed one of the narration boxes before that happens. They free Lang. Under Lang's control, the vessel zooms up into the air. So they're flying above the freighter, and Clark drops the bombs.
This narration over here. Yeah, you're right. The vessel's doing that thing that we couldn't figure out that the sub could do to begin with.
Right. Yeah.
They're finally telling us that.
Yeah. We never once actually see this air sub in the air. Never.
Nope. So while they're flying, Clark grabs bombs, climbs up to the deck, just like the two dudes that did when they threw the bombs at Superman. Only now the sub is in the air and it's Clark, and they fly over the freighter and he drops them on the freighter. Okay, I guess that really makes sense. Okay. Golden Age story. I can't pick it apart too much because it will just crumble. I am entertained by it, and I will just rest on that. It is an entertaining story. That should render them harmless, he says, as in the panel before, we see the freighter blowing up into two very distinct halves. So it's gone. Anything remaining sank to the bottom of the bay. But yes, it will render them harmless. He is right.
Yeah. Death will do that to a person.
Yes. Well, for those that don't die, Lois is concerned, but they'll escape. And Lang says, no, they won't. I'll broadcast a message to the Coast Guard. I would be interested to know how many people survived this and how, because this is very cataclysmic to this boat.
I mean, first of all, let's just talk about Superman throwing Wolf and the other dude from the sub to the freighter. Look at that distance.
Mm-hmm.
Again, those guys either died when they hit that freighter, or they're paralyzed, or they did not land in that freighter without any injury at all.
No, it's Superman's version of the fastball special.
Exactly. And then Lois is in the sub. She didn't see what happened to the freighter exactly, but I was really confused about that as well. The freighter blows up and she goes, but they'll escape. And I'm like, who's she talking about? And then I realized she was talking about the boat. And so I almost feel like Lang is kind of humoring her at this point.
I'll call we'll rescue the survivors. Yeah, there's no problem.
Yeah.
Shortly after, I want to thank you both for saving the invention, aiding in the capture of those spies, and don't thank us, thank Superman, Lois says. And then Clark says, let's phone in the story before someone beats us to it. And you can almost see him wink.
Yeah.
Because he's talking about the two of them when normally it's one or the other. And
and she interrupts Lang. That's kind of rude. He's listing all the great things that they've done for him.
They did, yeah. She's like, don't forget Superman with her big, fan eyes. She's like, Japanese anime with the big hearts, of course, and
don't think us, think Superman.
Yep, and that's where we finish this one up.
Yeah. Did you read this? We're using the same collection. I don't know if you've seen any scans of the actual issue, but this final scene. Superman changes back into Clark Kent so he can be captured as Clark Kent. And when he does that, his suit is green, or his suit is blue. Very next page, they get onto the sub, the panel where we're seeing that the walls are plastic.
Right.
Clark's suit is now green. It's green in his other panel on that page. And then it's back to blue the next page.
Oh, I see now. Yeah, you're right. Which is interesting because I believe it's been blue up until that point.
Yeah. That page is the only pages where it shows green. So I don't know if that's a mistake when they recolored it for the collection, or if that's a mistake if it's a mistake that was in the original coloring of the issue and they kept it in the collection. That's pretty cool.
They didn't catch it. Yeah. Are blue and green related?
Yeah.
They are, aren't they? Isn't it?
Yellow and blue make green.
Yeah, so I guess it was it
Probably
could easily have been a printing error at the time, and that's what we're seeing.
Yep.
I'll make it a point to see if I can find a scan somewhere. I don't know where that would be. And see if something original is around that I can see what that is, because that'll be interesting. That they didn't correct it in the repo, which a lot of times they'll do.
Yeah. So either they didn't notice it, or if they noticed it and didn't fix it, then I would assume that would mean that everything in these collections, while they may have been high defed up, because they got converted digitally, they must have just kept all that stuff. You know?
They didn't change any coloring issues like that, which, I mean, I think we've noticed before things that should have been colored that weren't, like small places and things like that.
Yeah. Yep.
So I guess what they did is they just, probably because making those corrections would take too much time and they would actually have to pay somebody to do that, they probably just pushed through the repos of the original, and that's what it is. It's that, that funniness of golden age stuff. I mean, they don't have to explain why they didn't correct it. If that's the case, I'm glad they didn't, because I don't think it needs to be corrected. It doesn't really make that big a difference. It just gives you better the feeling of what it was like to be reading them then as they were coming out, as opposed to the perfect computer AI corrected, all that kind of crap that we see now.
Yeah.
So a lot more heart, a lot more character to it.
All right. So I mentioned already that my favorite moment of the book was Lois kicking the elevator guy in the shin to no avail.
Right.
Didn't help her in any way. And that poor guy has a sore shin now. What's your favorite moment of the book or the story?
Let me think. I knew you were going to ask this, but I didn't think about it ahead of time for some reason. We'll go with the probably 2 panels. I think it's 2. Well, it turns out to be 3 across 2 pages of Lois with her rope and hook going from window to window. I just now noticed also that the window that she's going to is barely open. So not only would she have had to hang on to rope, she's going to have to muscle up that other window, which back in the 40s, I don't know that those windows were necessarily easy to move. They certainly aren't nowadays. If you get original windows being counterweighted, they're not the easy slide track windows like we have now. It takes a little bit of oomph sometimes. Wooden, and it swells and the window whatever. But she's hanging on this rope, dangling, almost falling. So there's a scene where she's clutching with 2 hands. So she's going to get over there. She's going to hold on with one hand and try to open this while she's dangling underneath it. I mean, the rope is loose, so it's going to bow with her weight. So she's sinking down beneath the 2 windows, pushing this one up to get it. Yeah.
And she doesn't even, she opens it all the way. She doesn't just, I think a couple of more inches based on the amount that it's open when she's climbing over. I think just a couple of more inches, she could have squeezed herself right through, but she wanted that whole sucker rope. She didn't want the indignity of sliding through the window on her belly. She wanted to sit on the windowsill, like side saddle a horse.
Yeah, you can see her sitting on the sill, pushing it open and then stepping over.
Swinging her legs over,
Yeah, very demurely.
Lois may kick ass, but she's still a woman in the 40s, So there's certain things that are not proper.
Yep. So that probably is my favorite scene.
Cool.
Her being a little bit more than she really had been. I mean, she's been able to talk some trash to people, and she's had plenty of thoughts. But her actions aren't necessarily all that aggressive or whatever you want to call it. But here's a situation where she knew what she needed to do. She went and got the equipment she needed to do it. She executed with the equipment. So it was like, okay.
Yeah, I feel like since we've come back after our year-long break or however long it was, the character of Lois Lane in these stories since we've come back has just been slowly becoming more and more badass. Just little movements every now and again. I think this one was a pretty big one. The fact that she's carrying, that she planned this, but was basically a break-in by climbing out one. Yeah, I like Lois in this one.
Good stuff.
All right. Anything else you want to say? which I'll probably ask you again here in a minute?
No, I think I think it took us quite a while to talk about this short Golden Age story, man.
Right?
Dude,
we kept using the excuse before that it was because we haven't done it in a while, and but this if they're going to keep creating how many pages was this one? This one was 13. They're going to keep creating 13-page stories with more going on than your typical 6-issue trade. Then it's probably going to take us a while to.
Well, did you read the next story?
I did.
The first part of that, you can make one sentence and take care of about a third of the story.
Yeah.
So it's like.
But it was fun to see it all. Yeah, we'll talk about it next time. But it was fun to see it all happen. Yeah.
This story, which supposedly is the next chronologically of the Superman stories, it had a completely different feel as far as how much stuff they did. It was almost like in this one, they're like, well, we did so much there. Let's straighten things out and not make it quite as convoluted this time, and we'll make a more linear kind of story. It was different to be back to back, I thought.
That's not the first time that either of us have mentioned the way that the Action Comics stories are told versus the way the stories in the Superman book are told. It's just almost a distinct difference between the two sometimes,
Right. I almost like the editorial demands on the story are different, such that the structure of the story is different, which, for you folks listening, the next story we're going to talk about will be the Superman strip out of Action Comics 37. So that's what we're referencing here.
That's my next bit, man.
Is that your bit? Oh, sorry. Okay.
I quit.
We'll take that out.
I quit. Right there. I can't do this.
I marked it. Taking my shit, man.
That was back in the day when I used to do that webcomic, Our Adventure Continues, with Harold Jennett. That was kind of a running joke between the two of us, is that if I would, I think he did it first, but if I would turn in, hey, I got some scripts for the next few strips. Mm-hmm. If he saw something in it that, maybe we should change this to this, or could you shorten this? Or if he put together roughs of a strip that I wrote and he'd show it to me, I'd go, could you change this? Anytime either of us would say something to the other as far as suggesting a tweak or a change, we always communicated through the IM through Gmail when we would talk about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so if the very first time it happened, I'd be like, can you move that guy a little? He should be a little in the foreground, blah, blah, blah. And he just types in, that's it, I quit, but with no spaces. That's it, I quit. So it's like, it just became a running joke between the two of us, is anytime one or the other would suggest a change in something we created, our immediate response was, that's it, I quit. And the idea is that we just threw everything on the floor and walked away.
That's it, man. The creative just does not allow for that. That cannot be. So, yeah.
In our next episode, a crime wave has Metropolis in its grip, and every new police commissioner ends up dead. So the mayor does the unthinkable and tags mild-mannered Clark Kent to do the job. But when a staged mugging almost costs Clark his life, and shadowy assassins keep striking, only Superman's power and quick thinking can break the conspiracy. So that's going to be next. It's going to be episode 87. And Ed and I are going to be looking at Commissioner Kent, which is the story from Action Comics number 37 from April of 1941. Ed, is there anything else you want to say? Your last thoughts, your final thoughts?
I am good as far as this story, and I look forward to more Golden Age here for the next little bit.
All right. Thanks for listening, folks. Until next time, I'm Steven, that's Ed, and this was the Superman Super Show. Bye.
Ciao.
We want to thank you for listening to this episode of the Superman Super Show. Questions and comments can be directed to the Superman Super Show at gmail.com. If you enjoyed the show, you can help to boost our presence online by leaving a rating or review on your favorite podcast app. The Superman Super Show is a presentation of Steeven or Else Media. For more nerdy content just like this, check out SoManyPodcasts.com or use the link in your show notes. Superman is a registered trademark of DC Comics and was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
Oh, but wait, there's Superman. He'll save us. Superman! Superman! Wait, where are you going? Oh, to hell with him. We'll have to deal with these marauders ourselves.